notified, are now our next presenters, I understand also by teleconference, Ms. Egan, Executive VP and Chief Financial Officer of GH Manufacturing. You're there, Ms. Egan?
I am, thank you.
Great. You have 5 minutes opening address and then questions by rotation. Please begin now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak this morning. I'm sorry that I'm not more prepared, but I only found out yesterday afternoon that I'm on your, I'm sure, packed agenda. Perhaps I'm filling the place of a last-minute cancellation, but really it matters not. I'm happy to have this opportunity. So today I'm representing GH Manufacturing and our employees' interests and those of my family. We're a small-medium enterprise located in Belleville, Ontario, and we're part of the rural Ontario that is really struggling. High hydro costs, housing costs, not enough affordable housing, poor infrastructure are just to mention a few of the things that we are struggling with on a daily basis. Our company provides contract packaging and converting services to a global consumer packaged goods company. We run a 2-shift operation from 7 a.m. until midnight. While our equipment and processes are not highly energy dependent, but our hydro costs have increased substantially over the 17 years we've been in business. The biggest impact continues to come from the global adjustment factor, which is often referred to as those customers who are paying it as the slush fund. We're now paying approximately $10,000 a month for the global adjustment factor, whereas the actual cost of hydro used is only approximately $4,000 a month. We've gone in 7 years from a bill of $5,000 a month for hydro to over $14,000. This month's bill is one of the lowest yet at a recent $11,000. Of this, the actual cost of electricity is only $1,200. The global adjustment factor is a whopping $5,400, which is 4.5 times the cost of the electricity. No one understands this global adjustment factor, and I have on numerous occasions tried to find out exactly what is included in the cost, but cannot find anyone who can provide the level of detail that I'm looking for. I often get a lot of verbal explanations, which, I understand what the global adjustment factor is in theory, but none are able to give me the details I'm looking for. I've had books thrown at me, I've had articles to read sent my way, but I honestly don't have the time or energy to take up this understanding of what the global adjustment factor is. But to continue breaking down our bill from this month, the debt retirement charge is $523, and the wholesale market services fee is $533. As I understand it, the wholesale market service charge is to pay for there to be an annoying wholesale marketers out there that continuously bother us through email and phone calls trying to get us to commit to ridiculous contracts. When I look from a quick investigation of who these wholesalers are, it seems that they're not only proliferating in Ontario, but they're actually quite profitable. So back to the global adjustment factor just for a minute, because while our numbers seem very small, one of our neighbors in the local industrial park was quoted recently as paying $50,000 for hydro a month and a whopping $450,000 a month for the global adjustment factor. So this does make our numbers pale in comparison, but the business and the business model that our neighbor is facing are very different. The issues, however, are all the same. Companies cannot and will not continue to sustain these costs. There are costs that has no rationale and no asset attached to it. Once companies start to make decisions to leave the community or start up cogeneration facilities or move to gas turbines, it's going to hurt even more those who are left behind. Companies won't come to the government asking for approval to shutter and move their facilities. They'll simply announce their plans and advise the various levels of government of their decisions and the impact that it will have on the communities. We just saw that recently yesterday with Procter & Gamble Brockville announcing that they will be closing in 1 to 4 years. So among the very top concerns today for all residents and businesses in Ontario, I continue to hear is hydro. It's a huge concern for industry, not only for the rising cost of hydro on our budgets, but also for our employees, suppliers, and anyone else who is living in Ontario. The Ontario energy system is truly broken. It and all levels of the energy sector need to be broken down and rebuilt with common sense and a sound, sustainable business strategy. You cannot continue to ask industries to conserve and then charge them premiums under the global adjustment factor for not consuming enough electricity and costing the utilities companies money as they sell excess and unused capacity to our neighbors. These very neighbors are the ones who are luring us and the other businesses in Ontario to move to their provinces and states. We continue to get flyers from our neighbors in the New York State, which is not far. They continue to market with their lower hydro costs, lower property taxes, lower state taxes. This hydro problem does not belong to the province alone.
Thank you, Ms. Egan. That's the 5 minutes opening address. Now pass you to the government side, Mr. Potts.
Yes, thanks, Ms. Egan. I appreciate very much you calling in and you've given a very, very excellent description of the challenges you're facing, and we certainly, I'm on the government side here, just so you know, appreciate very much the efforts you make to employ people in the community and to, assist the GDP development in this province. So we want to do everything we can to make sure that you are supportive and successful in the area, and appreciate some of the challenges you've outlined. Now, have you had, as a business, an opportunity to review the Industrial Conservation Initiative? Would you qualify it? Do you use more than, global demand of 500 kilowatt hours in a year? Have you had a chance to look at that?
Yeah, so we've investigated that, and we have done things in the plant, but the less energy we use, the more our global adjustment factor increases.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. One of the challenges are that a lot of the conservation has been so successful that there's a lot of stranded generation, which does drive up the global adjustment. And part of the medium-term plan will be to rectify some of those shortcomings. But for now, you are working with the Industrial Conservation Initiative. You've had a chance to work with Hydro One to find ways that you can reduce your bills.
Well, we're a Viridian customer, so the Hydro One initiative does not apply to us.
All right, so Hydro One doesn't, but Viridian, they're also administrating these programs, so I'm assuming you've got good relationships there. And if you want some more information on how the global adjustment works, I certainly would be prepared to commit to assist you in getting that understanding, and I know your local member, Todd Smith, would probably do the same. I would encourage you to get in touch with Mr. Smith, or I'll be happy to assist you. My name is Arthur Potts.
Okay, thank you, Arthur.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Potts. To the PC side, Mr. Pettipies.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and good morning.
Morning.
I've had a couple stories in my writing about conservation efforts being put in place in businesses, and they did reduce their electricity costs or their electricity usage, and their bills went up. And I understand you went through those same things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And what was the explanation they gave you?
Well, that's what it is. We're conserving electricity, so we're using less electricity. But that's not helpful on the bill.
I understand that, but why did they tell you your rates went up?
Well, they didn't really. They just, they went into this plethora of, explaining all this stuff, lost me in the meantime. And I'm not stupid. I'm a CFO, so I think I can understand financials, but it honestly doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and that's what we've been running into. We've been having quite a time trying to get a definition of the global adjustment too. So you're not alone in that. There was some sad news, and you spoke about it today about the plant closing in Brockville, Procter and Gamble. Do you have a handle on in your area, companies that are thinking about moving?
Well, I'll tell you, when people go silent, when people speak out about hydro and suddenly they go silent, I'm going to tell you those are the people who are looking at doing something. And there's a number of people in our community who are doing exactly that.
Okay. And it's mostly due to electricity costs?
Well, going back to this example, if you have a $450,000 global adjustment factor every month, it doesn't take long to figure out how many months it would take you to move your plant and pay that back. If you no longer had that, there's no asset attached to that.
Okay, so in your opinion, the Fair Hydro plan that's being proposed, how will that help your business?
It's ridiculous. It won't help at all. It won't help one person in Ontario. It certainly won't help our business.
Okay, and can you explain, do you have any reasons to come to that conclusion?
Well, I just read the CBC article today that said, ratepayers are going to save $24 billion, but it's going to cost $45 billion. This is nothing more than going to a payday loan shark, getting $20 today and trying to pay it back on Friday, and you have a bill for $120.
Okay, and that's quite an analogy. I hadn't thought of that one. That was very good. Jack, do you have anything?
Well, Kim, thank you very much for joining us today. It's John Yakubuski. I appreciate bringing these kind of stories. We hear about them all the time across Ontario, where the government puts one pretty face out there saying that we're doing, or tries to paint a pretty picture saying we're doing all these things to help businesses. But whenever we talk to somebody who's actually in the business and on the ground, we hear
Mr.
completely different.
Yakubiski to Mr. Tabbins, the NDP.
Ms. Egan, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I appreciate what you had to set out for us. Can I just follow up on a question that Mr. Pettipies was asking? When you reduce your energy consumption, is there an increase in the bill for your operation, or are you seeing an increase overall in hydro rates?
No, we're seeing a direct correlation to the increase in the cost of our bill based on the reduced usage, kilowatt-hour usage.
And can you explain? I'm sorry, I'm a bit puzzled by it. I'm not questioning what you're telling me. I'm just trying to understand what you're telling me. So they actually increase the rate that you're charged if you use a lower volume?
So, well, you have to look at all the different rates we're charged, right? So the cost of the electricity may go down
Right.
per kilowatt hour, but the total bill is going up because of the global adjustment factor and all the other additional charges that are on there.
Okay. I'm going to have to investigate that one further. You have already said, and I think you were pretty explicit, that this large-scale borrowing of funds to pay current bills is not going to help you or anyone else in this province. Is that an opinion that's widely shared in your community?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I think most Ontarians don't understand what's going on with this bill. A lot don't even know it's out there. But any reasonable business person will tell you that this is nothing more than a sham, and it's not an asset. You know, I read the Bill 132 in detail. There's no asset there.
No, I agree. There is no asset. When I hear the government saying that this is akin to a mortgage, I always say, well, with a mortgage, when you pay it off, you own something at the end.
You have
With
a
this,
house. Yeah, that's
we
right.
will own nothing. We're just amortizing the rent over a long period. That's it. And nothing more. I don't have further questions, but I want to thank you for taking the time to speak to us this morning. It's been very useful.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Tabbins, and thanks to you, Ms. Egan, for your deputation via teleconference.
Okay, thanks very much.
Is Mr.